Become impossible to manipulate. 6 Habits of Psychologically Untouchable People. Introduction, the people the script skips. In every office, every family, every friend group, there is one person the manipulators leave alone. Not the loudest person, and rarely the coldest. Often they are warm, generous, well-liked, and yet the guilt trippers, the drama merchants, and the chronic borrowers all seem to route around them, the way water routes around a stone. Watch long enough and you notice something remarkable: nobody ever tries. The pitch that works on everyone else is simply never made to them. What do these people have? Not luck, and not intimidation. They have a set of habits, small, repeatable, learnable behaviors, that together produce a quality we might call psychological untouchability. Manipulation is an economic activity. It targets the best return for the least effort. Untouchable people are not invulnerable in some mystical sense, they are unprofitable. Every one of their habits raises the cost of exploiting them until the venture makes no sense, and the would-be exploiter, being a rational economist of human weakness, moves on. The best news in this entire article is the word habits. Not traits, not personality, not something issued at birth. Habits. Which means the untouchable person is not who you have to be, it is who you can train. Here are the 6 habits that do the training, in order of importance. Habit 1, they let themselves be disliked. At the foundation of every untouchable person lies a single load-bearing capacity. They can tolerate someone being displeased with them without rushing to fix it. Notice how radical this actually is. Most manipulation, the guilt trips, the sulking, the cold shoulders, the "I'm just disappointed," is powered by one fuel, the target's inability to endure disapproval. Remove the fuel and the entire engine seizes. Untouchable people are not indifferent to others, they simply refuse the equation: someone is upset with me, therefore I have done something wrong. They can sit inside another person's displeasure, examine it calmly: is this legitimate feedback or leverage? And respond to the substance rather than the discomfort. When it is leverage, they do something that stuns habitual pleasers: nothing. The sulk plays to an empty theater. The disappointed sigh receives a pleasant "sorry you feel that way" and a change of subject. How to train it: start with micro-exposures. Let a text sit unanswered for an hour without apologizing for the delay. State a mild preference, a restaurant, a movie, and do not retract it when someone frowns. Each time you survive a frown without repair work, you are lifting the exact weight that untouchability is made of. The discomfort is real, and it shrinks with every repetition, like all discomforts do. Habit 2, they run everything through a delay. Ask an untouchable person for something: money, a favor, a commitment, a decision, and you will almost always hit the same soft wall: let me get back to you. Not defensiveness, not suspicion. Just a policy, applied to everyone, from strangers to their own mother: no significant yes leaves the building same day. This one habit neutralizes an entire arsenal. Artificial urgency dies against it, because urgency is precisely the demand to skip the delay. Emotional flooding dies against it, because guilt, flattery, and panic are weather, intense at the moment of impact, mostly evaporated by morning. Foot in the door escalation dies against it, because each small request gets individually inspected instead of waved through on momentum. The manipulator's whole craft is engineering a moment in which you decide badly. The delay simply declines to hold decisions inside engineered moments. How to train it: script the sentence and make it reflexive. I'll check and tell you tomorrow. I don't decide anything on the spot, it's a rule of mine. Deliver it warmly, blame the rule, not the requester. Then watch the reactions, because the delay doubles as a diagnostic instrument. Honest people say, "Sure, of course," while operators push, sweeten, or dramatize, thereby identifying themselves at zero cost to you. Habit 3, they refuse without filing paperwork. Listen to a habitual target decline a request, and you will hear a legal defense, reasons, precedents, apologies, character witnesses, and a closing offer of compensation. Listen to an untouchable person decline, and you will hear this: "No, that doesn't work for me. But good luck with it. One sentence. Warm tone. Full stop. The difference is not style, it is structural security. Every reason you attach to a refusal is a handle, and manipulators are professional handle grabbers. I can't, I'm short on money this month, invites an installment plan. I'm too busy Saturday, invite Sunday. Give 6 reasons and you have scheduled 6 rebuttals. Give none and there is nothing to rebut, the conversation has no door left to force. Untouchable people understand a piece of social mathematics that pleasers never learn. No is a complete sentence, and its completeness is precisely what makes it kind. It wastes nobody's time with negotiations that will not succeed. How to train it: adopt the one reason maximum. You may explain once, briefly, if you genuinely wish to, and then you repeat, you do not expand. As I said, it doesn't work for me. The broken record technique feels almost rude to a recovering pleaser. Watch closely and you will see that calm repetition reads, to everyone else in the room, as simple adulthood. Habit 4, they keep their self-image off the table. Every deep manipulation ultimately plays for one stake, your identity. A good daughter would. I thought you were a team player. Everyone will think you're selfish. The move only works if your self-image is available as a hostage. If the manipulator can pick up you're a good person and hold it over the ledge until you pay. Untouchable people have quietly removed this asset from circulation. Their sense of being decent, competent, and kind is built on an internal ledger, years of their own choices, honestly audited, and they simply do not accept real-time reviews from interested parties. Tell an untouchable person that a real friend would lend the money, and the accusation lands on armor made of memory. They know their history of friendship in full detail, and one motivated critic's hot take does not get editing rights. The response is almost gentle: if skipping this loan makes me a bad friend in your eyes, I can live with that. How to train it: build the internal ledger deliberately. Once a week, write down evidence, actual events, of the qualities you know you have. This is not affirmation fluff. It is constructing a factual record dense enough that hostage-takers cannot outbid it. The stronger your documented self-knowledge, the more absurd the ransom demands sound, until one day they simply sound funny. Habit 5, they compare words against actions, and believe the actions. Untouchable people run a quiet accounting practice on everyone in their lives. Not cynically, and not out loud. They simply notice, over time, whether stories match receipts. Promises made versus promises kept. Apologies delivered versus behavior changed. Declarations of love versus how Tuesday actually went. When the columns diverge, they believe the receipts, every time, without agonizing, without extending one more benefit of one more doubt. This habit is devastating to manipulators for a structural reason: manipulation is almost entirely a verbal art. The reassurances, the future promises, the reinterpretations of the past, the "I've changed," all of it is spoken product. A person who prices words at zero and actions at full value has effectively demonetized the manipulator's whole inventory. You cannot breadcrumb someone who counts loaves. You cannot hoover someone who checks the maintenance records. How to train it: institute the 2-column review. For any relationship that keeps hurting, take a page: left column, what they say; right column, what they do, dated. Do it once, honestly, and the fog usually clears in a single sitting, not because you learned anything new, but because you finally weighed evidence you had been storing in separate rooms so the totals could never meet. Habit 6, they live in daylight. The final habit is the least glamorous and the most protective. Untouchable people conduct their lives with witnesses. They keep real friendships in good repair. They tell their people the truth about their relationships, their finances, their doubts. When something feels off, they say so out loud, to someone, early. There are no sealed rooms in their lives where a manipulator can work uninterrupted. Recall that isolation is the precondition of every serious exploitation. The con man, the controlling partner, and the toxic boss all begin with the same move: separating you from your counsel, whether physically or through secrecy. Don't tell anyone, they wouldn't understand, this stays between us. The untouchable person's default answer to that move is cheerful and absolute: I don't do secrets from my people. That single policy is a searchlight. Everything done to them will be reviewed by outside eyes that the charm has never touched, and manipulators, knowing this, decline to perform under those lights at all. How to train it: audit your daylight. Do at least 2 people know the true state of your closest relationship, your money, your workplace? If not, that is your first repair. And install the disclosure reflex: the moment anyone asks you to keep a category of your own life secret from those who love you, treat the request itself as the finding. Conclusion: unprofitable, not unkind. Look at what these 6 habits build when assembled. A person who can be frowned at without folding. Who decides on their own clock. Whose no needs no paperwork. Whose identity is not for ransom. Who audits words against deeds. Who lives with witnesses. Assemble them and you have not built a fortress bristling with suspicion, you have built something quieter and stranger, a person on whom the standard scripts return nothing. The guilt trip plays to an empty room. The urgency meets a calendar. The flattery gets a smile and no signature. The economics collapse, and the economist leaves. Notice, too, what the habits did not require. You were never asked to become cold, suspicious, or hard. Untouchable people are frequently the warmest people in the room, precisely because their warmth is voluntary. Every yes they give is real, every gift is freely chosen, every kindness comes from surplus rather than fear. That is what boundaries actually purchase, not distance from people, but honesty in everything you give them. A warning about the 2 classic mistakes of the first month. The first is overcorrection. New boundary setters sometimes swing into hardness, refusing everything, suspecting everyone, delivering their no like a slammed door. Resist this. The habits work precisely because they are calm, warm, and universal, not because they are aggressive. The second mistake is inconsistency with your hardest person, practicing beautifully on strangers while making an exception for the one manipulator who matters most. Exceptions are exactly what that person is counting on. The habits protect you only where they are applied, and the place they meet the most resistance is the place they are most needed. Start with one habit: the delay is the easiest, the tolerance for dislike the most transformative, and practice it for a month before adding the next. Expect wobble, habits are built exactly there. And expect one more thing: some months from now, a strange quiet where certain pressures used to be. The scripts have not stopped existing. They are simply being performed elsewhere, for softer audiences, while you, warm and unbothered, have become the person the manipulators skip.